Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Hi. There we are. We're live. We're live. We're live. Good morning. I'm Delegate Jackie Hope Glass, Mama, Navy Vet Certified Doer, and the laced up legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District here. Honored, proud, and privileged to serve, to serve each of you. It is April, and we are in the first month of the second quarter of 2026. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm so glad that you made it, or that you decided to get up and come get it with us. Good morning, Mr. Little. How are you? I hope you are well. It's good to see you. Um, we're doing the good work, right? We're making the best of the best of the best of the best. There's a lot going on, so I definitely want to start with politely telling y'all that first, this Saturday is Fly Norfolk, and I need you there. I think you should be there. I'm going to put the link in. I should have put the link in here. So, what is Fly Norfolk, y'all? Fly Norfolk is this event that I have been doing for at least 4 years. We didn't get to do it last year because of the way the federal government was going. A lot of our partner organizations like NASA, space, not spaceport, but a lot of our partner organizations were having to deal with their budgets changing and people being off and on, and just not it. We didn't have orgs to be able to do a Fly Norfolk, but we bring in pilots. We bring in, y'all know that we got a spaceport here, like right on the eastern shore of Virginia. I didn't know until I became a legislator, but virtual reality, drones. It's at the Norfolk International Airport, and it is an opportunity for you to just go come sit in a plane. When's the last time you done that? We've got a guy who has built a plane, like his name's Andrew. He's been super helpful in this evolution, but he built his own airplane. Do you hear me? He built his own airplane. Hold on. I'm making sure I put my whole script in there. He built his own airplane, which was so cool. Yeah, I put my whole script in here, which is really cool. So I am hoping that you all can take the time to come out to Fly Norfolk and just come be with us. Come be a part of the show. Like come to Fly Norfolk. Enjoy. It's all ages, so don't think that it's just for kids or that it's just for families. It's not. It is for everybody. It is for all the people. So come out, bring the kids. Come see some virtual reality. Do all this stuff and things. Yeah. Let me see if I got this. All right. So today, which is for some of you, my whole script is in the chat, in the chat. That what we're talking about today, which we'll deal with on the back end. But I want to make sure that I am giving you guys a good in the know about where we're going from here, what we got going on. There's some really important things happening in the General Assembly. Do y'all know what's coming up? Y'all know what's going on? Tell me if you know what's going on next week. Have you voted already? That's a whole thing. Raise your hand if you voted already. I'm putting my hand down because I'm an election day person. Like, I love to vote on election day. Look, I vote. I love to vote on election day. It's my favorite thing to do. I take my daughter. We have been doing this thing since she was a little bitty kid. So Tuesday, if you're in Virginia statewide, we have a special election on a proposed constitutional amendment for congressional redistricting. And how many of y'all actually knew that the state level government are the ones who draw the maps for our constitutional district? Drop it in the chat if you even knew that. Did you know that? I did not know it until we had the referendum. Actually, even when we had the referendum on redistricting, I did not know that until I became a legislator, that we draw the congressional maps. Polls are going to be open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. The official voter information is at the Department of Elections. So if you are like myself and you like self-government, it's still your business, because it is. This is where you can find the ballot language. So I'm going to go ahead and put the ballot language in. I'm going to put the ballot language in the chat. And I know for Instagram, it doesn't kind of matter for y'all. Y'all not going to be able to pull it. But on Instagram, the ballot language is actually in my bio. If you, it's linked in my bio, and I'll put it here. Okay. So if that's something that you want to do, is making sure that you read the ballot language for yourself, I'm down for that, because that's something that I do anyway, right? To make sure I know what I'm doing. I'm voting yes. I'm hoping that you're voting yes. We don't went down this road on some of the other lives, so hopefully you'll be there. Now then, so because next week is jam-packed. Remember, Saturday is Fly Norfolk. I need everybody there. Tuesday is election day, right? Put that information there. Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, I go to what we call reconvene. And y'all got to say it with me, reconvene. Reconvene. That is, I know, it sounds like something that you say when you go into church, when church ran long, and somebody still want to discuss, who ushering on Sunday. But in Virginia, reconvene it's actually serious constitutional business. I will explain. There we go. I will explain. All right. So we have a regular general assembly session that ends. It ended for us on March 14th. Okay. So it was a 60-day session, because we had a long session and we had to do a budget. And I'll talk about the budget in a second. But under the Virginia Constitution, we come back the 6th Wednesday after we adjourn from regular session for what we call reconvene session. This year's session, again, ran from January 14th to March 14th. And that reconvene session is now April 22nd. It is not some free-for-all where we start introducing new legislation, because constitutionally, we're there for a very narrow purpose. Remember, all of this is in the Virginia Constitution. Constitutionally, we're only there to consider bills the governor returned with recommendations for amendments, and bills or budget items that the governor has objections to, which means that have returned with objections, which means that the governor has vetoed them, and then no other business can be considered at reconvene. And that is not me saying that we want to be difficult, but that's saying that it is our Constitution is very clear about that. I'm going to put that in the chat for you smarty pants nerds that feel like you need to look all this stuff up, right? I'm putting it in chat on Instagram, realizing on Instagram, you're not going to be able to click the link, but it's there for you anyway. So, right, that's what's happening. So when people ask, y'all just fix this other, can y'all fix this while you're at reconvene? The answer is no, because not at a reconvene. Reconvene, unless it is a part of what came back from the governor, we're not doing any other legislation. Reconvene is not like this bonus round of work. Reconvene is not where we can just come and throw out legislation. Reconvene is a constitutional review session of what came back from what we sent to the governor. And while I'm sitting here, I really wanted to make sure that you all had the stats on that, because we did get some good stats back on what the governor did. But here's what you also need to know. Let me do this. Oopsie, oopsie, whoopsie. Oh wow. I opened my email so that I could give y'all the stats and everything came up. So the clerk of the house typically sends us an email that tells us like, hey, here's what happened at reconvene. And that kind of gives us all the stats. If you're a super nerd like me and want to see that list, it puts most of the things in what's the word? In context. So if you want to know how many bills were signed, how many bills were vetoed, how many bills, which is very few, how many bills were not signed, which I found interesting. There was only one bill that wasn't signed. And when a bill doesn't get signed, that just means it becomes a law July 1st without even uh, without the governor signing it. Because sometimes the governor's like, I just don't necessarily want to put my name on that. No matter who the governor is, they can make the choice not to sign certain bills. All right, so this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to explain what reconvene is, right? Like under the Constitution, but I also am going to give you all that information. There we go. I just pulled it up. Okay, so here's what the governor can do. Under Article 5, Section 6 of our Virginia state constitution. So we're only talking about the state constitution. The governor can sign bills, can veto bills, can send them back with specific and severable, right? Because she can have 1, 2, or 3 amendments to a bill we can vote on. We can like the first amendment, don't like the second one, and like the third one. Now, if she vetoes it, the General Assembly can try to override that veto. But to override a veto, it takes a 2/3 vote, and it's 100 of us, so about 66 votes in each chamber, and it's 40 in the other chamber. So 2/3 of the people have to say, yeah, we want to override that. And it has to include a majority of the members elected to the House. That means if some of your people don't show up, because sometimes people don't show up for reconvene because they have to work, and I'll talk about that when we talk about the budget. Because some folks got we're citizen legislators, we have jobs, all these things. So so of the majority of the people that are elected to the House, if she sends amendments, each House can accept them by a majority vote, reject them by a vote, or in some cases, we can insist that the original bill. We can insist on the original bill with a higher threshold, like with a higher vote threshold. I haven't seen that happen. And then for appropriation bills, like appropriation matters, the governor also has item veto. Like, so she can pick a line in the budget and be like, I am vetoing this line. There's just things sometimes that happens where people don't send legislation through the legislative process, which means it goes from subcommittee to committee to the floor of the House to the Senate to their subcommittee committee to their floor and then off to the governor. That's the life cycle of a bill. But sometimes people be like, let me slide that in the budget. So there are line items. The budget is king, right? If the budget says, if the Code of Virginia says we can't do something, but the budget says we can, the budget trumps everything. So that's vice versa. If it says we can't do something, but the law says we can, then we can't do it. But that is another veto power that the governor has. And that's why reconvene matters so much. So Wednesday is like a constitutional tug of war. Like it officially begins. And what I'm also going to do is make sure that I put that article that I just said in the comments. So what did the governor get, y'all? The governor had a total of 1,556 bills. Right? 1,556 bills were communicated to her office. Now, the governor signed 971 bills. That's 84% of the bills that she received, she signed. She vetoed 8 pieces of legislation. That's about 1%, not even. Yeah, that is about not even 1%. And she made recommendations, or AKA amendments, to 176 different measures. That's 15% of the bills she made recommendations to, and returned one bill unsigned, right? That became law. Oh, I can tell you what bill it is because our clerk is so dope that he puts everything in the email. And I'm going to tell you what bill it is. Oh geez, what bill is this, y'all? I'm like interested. Clause for certain enactments. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh, I don't even know what this. Recodification of Title 30. Interesting. I'm gonna have to look more into that. That's gonna have to be something I look more into. Okay, does that make sense? So that's it. That's it. So we will go back at 8 on April 22nd. 12 p.m. is our normal time that we gavel in to get to work. And so that's what we're gonna do. Let me go to. Oh, okay. So the last thing I want to there's another piece of that I want people to understand about what's happening here is that when the governor makes amendments, there is usually an explanation attached. So we're not like guessing what the governor is doing because remember, the governor is going through these amendments with her cabinet. And that's why the LIS, some of those links you saw I put in there, that's why that matters. It tells you that is, I mean, that's why I kind of tell people not to just argue from like how they feeling or about for somebody screenshot it to you and whatever, like your cousin posted at midnight about something. If you really want to know why it changed, you need to go to LIS, read the recommendation, read the explanation, read the actual language, because like democracy deserves better than gossip, right? Doesn't it? So let me put this I'm putting in the chat. Oops, that's the one bill that wasn't signed. I'm putting in the chat the section of the code that allows the governor of the Constitution that talks about what the governor can do, right? Boom, that's in there. Boom, that's in there. Again, on Instagram, I know that y'all can't like just click and vibe on this, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you anyway. And then there's a piece of just lis.virginia.gov. Okay, makes sense? Okay, I want to talk about the budget a little bit, but I'm going to go to the chat and see if there are any questions before I talk about the budget. Okay, heading up. Hello. Hey, David. Question answered. His question was, does the General Assembly ever send governor change bills back to the desk for a second chance at getting back to original bill? Okay, I answered your question. Great. Perfect. Yeah, it is. When I say it's like a tug of war, it is. It is like a little bit of a tug of war. We're all trying to get to the best of what we can, and that's fair. Okay. So I want to talk about the budget because that is where people's eyes sort of glaze over, and it's also one of the major ways that our lives are affected. Right, Virginia. If you know this, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know this, but Virginia has to operate with a balanced budget. So, in plain English, that means that the Commonwealth of Virginia is not supposed to spend more than it has on money cash that it has on hand and the anticipations of what we think we're going to be bringing in. Our Constitution says that the governor must ensure that the expenses of the Commonwealth do not exceed the total revenues of on hand and anticipated funding during a relevant budget period. Right? We cannot do that. So when folks hear balanced budget, do not think that means easy or painless or automatic. It means that the math has to math. It means that priorities collide, right? And it means that every yes has a price tag and every no has a consequence. Okay, that's the reality. So I'm going to send you guys in the Virginia Code where it tells us we got to have a balanced budget. Again, Instagram, I'm sending it over here, but this is just for the good of the order so that you understand. Like I am not the elected official. Again, I am not the elected official that's going to treat you like you are not smart or capable of taking in information. I think, and not explaining these things to you holds a power that I don't need to have. We need to share this power. Your knowledge really helps me do my role better. Power is not pie. It can be shared. No matter what piece you get, we can all eat and we can get another pie. You know how that works. But we're trying to wield this power in a way that helps us grow as a citizenry. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. So, David James, I love this. You said, yeah. So the budget process, yeah, I barely know anything, especially the legislative stuff that gets thrown in. Yeah, that's all right. That's what we're here for, to try to make sense. Okay. So right now with the budget process, we're still in the middle of determining we will be, whether there'll be a final budget agreement in time. So I think I saw somebody said, Catherine said, it is amazing what gets accomplished in 60 days. It is fascinating. It is a song. It is a dance. It is a beautiful thing to be a part of. It is go, 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 go. What I will say is what happened this session, which is not unusual, it's happened in other sessions, is that we got all of our legislation done except for the budget. And so I'll talk a little bit about that, right? So while 60 days, a lot of amazing things happen, we still are trying to get a budget. So we're in the middle of trying to determine what will the final budget agreement be. The General Assembly adjourned our regular session without a final budget. And if you've been watching the news, because there have been public reportings about the dispute over data center tax policy, something in Hampton Roads that I know we don't like juxtaposed a whole lot. We don't talk about a whole lot, but it does affect our lives. And there's news there's news articles that talk specifically about the folks who are appropriators. Those are the people who deal with the money committee. That data center tax policy is a major kind of sticking point. In recent coverage, I think I saw the Senate has pushed to end or narrow this tax policy that's tied to data centers, right? Meaning data centers getting certain tax breaks. The House and the governor have been more inclined to preserve things the way they are informed. And I can tell you part of the rationale that we were also talked to about was, listen, when we say that we're doing business in the way, we have to at least honor that contract until it's done. And other folks are saying, no, like we can't keep giving them tax breaks. It's a push and pull, depending. You could fall on either side of the issue and not be wrong, in a sense, right? And not be wrong. But that tension is one of the reasons it's not all of it, but one of the reasons that the budget negotiations have been dragged on. And again, you can see all the different stories in the media. Even, let's say, if I'm not your legislator, talk to your legislator about what they know. But if you're not in that conference, if you're not one of the negotiators, we're probably not going to know a whole lot about what's going on with the budget until we have one. Okay. So I'm going to say this very, very clearly. This is not the first time that Virginia has had hard budget negotiation. It may feel a little dramatic because it's a trifecta, but it is a little dramatic no matter who's at the helm, who is deciding the budget, but it is not unprecedented, right? It's not unprecedented. And honestly, part of the reason it gets super complicated is because there are actively multiple budget visions at play, right? Multiple visions. The governor proposes a budget. The House proposes its position. The Senate has its position. And then the people have to negotiate those differences into something real that works for the Commonwealth. And that process can be messy, even if people generally agree on values, because agreement on values doesn't mean agreement on values is not the same thing as agreement on these line items. Okay, it can differ. I'm putting budget bill information in the chat for you nerds who want to know, who quite frankly want to know more about those sorts of things. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, good morning, Lisa. Good morning. I appreciate it. Okay, it's so good to see you. Looking, oh, love that. Good. I'm glad that you love that understanding. Oh, okay, Arabians, hang with me because I'm gonna talk about that in there because I talked about how earlier some legislators might not be at reconvene for a myriad of reasons. But this is one day that we should be at because it's on our calendar when we do our sort of rules of the road for how we're going to legislate. That's always, always, always on the calendar. Um, that's always on the calendar, but I'm going to talk about that because Arabiz asked, hey, did legislators get a pay increase? I'm going to talk about it. Okay. So here's the deal. If we do not get the budget done, then we go into a special session, and that is different from reconvene. Reconvene, again, is constitutionally scheduled and extremely narrow. We can only act on the things that were sent back to us from the governor. A special session is called when there is more work that remains that can't be handled outside of the limitations of the reconvene framework. So Article 5, Section 6. Am I saying that right? I think so. Yeah. Okay. Article 5, Section 6. I have the link, so I'll fix myself if I'm wrong. Says that the governor may convene a special session when in the interests of the Commonwealth require it, and must convene one upon the application of 2/3 of the General Assembly members elected to each house. So still, if the governor calls it, it has to be a 2/3 votes. We have to say, yeah, cool. So right now, not public report, but you guys have probably seen it, but it not really been a sticking thing. But the day after reconvene is the day that we're going into special session because we have budget work. So the governor called a special session to continue that budget work. So if I can explain it very clearly to you all, right? And then I'm going to talk about that money because I super appreciate people who care about legislator pay. It does make a difference. Reconvene is just us coming back to deal with the governor's homework on the bills. Special session is us coming back because the people's business is not finished, right? And why does that matter to you? Because again, especially with the budget, us going back. So I've got to be in Richmond on Wednesday and Thursday for special session. If we do a special session, because if we still haven't negotiated a budget by Wednesday, then we can't do a special session because there's nothing to vote on. So there's that. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that those negotiations happen. But a fiscal year, which is a money year, starts July 1st and ends June 30th for everybody, for your school board, for your city council, localities, school divisions. They run on that same timeline, July to June, that cycle. So state law also requires state officials and agencies within 15 days following, following the adjournment of each session to inform. So we've got our state level agencies have to let schools and localities know the estimated state money that they'll receive for that fiscal year. So know that when they say how much state money is coming down for this, how much state is the state supporting that, about 15 days after, we sort of let them know, hey, this is what you can expect. That means that city councils, county governments, school boards are all trying to make decisions while looking at the state budget picture. And if that budget is late, right, it creates some levels of uncertainty for governments closest to our daily life. And the ones that are deciding about schools, about staffing, about local services, and about community investments. And so that is why this is not just Richmond doing Richmond things. What happens in Richmond reaches Norfolk. It reaches classrooms. It reaches roads. It reaches public safety, local public safety, and it reaches families that are just trying to plan without a whole lot of cushion. And that's real. That is the reality of the work that we do. I do not take it lightly. I remember when my first session, was it my first? It was my first session. I was in awe of all of the things. I did not want to do this job, and I was grateful that people much smarter than me felt like I should be doing it. But I was getting gas at a Wawa in Richmond, and it was like a line of people. It was just a whole line of people, and I was standing there still in my uniform. That's so Navy. I was standing there still dressed for work. And I just was like, dang, I've just spent a whole day making decisions that will affect all of these people. And they may or may not know it, not me, but know that there are decisions being made that is going to affect their lives one way or another. So that is a whole lot. And I know that we're in a time without really without cushion for some folks. I am one of those people, like, right, I just got the letter in the mail that said, the mortgage is going up $100, the gas bill is going to go up, I believe $120 or so, the light bill is up, the food needs of my kid that's in college is up, it's all of the things. And I'm grateful for my spouse for having a career that holds the line, but it's asking, the world is asking a lot of all of us. And I really want to keep it real with y'all about something else. Is one thing that matters to me in the budget conversation is pay. And thank you, Arabez, for bringing it up. It's pay. Pay for workers, pay raises where they matter. And yes, I'm going to tell the truth about legislator pay. Most folks don't understand legislator pay. Right now, the salary for members of the House of Delegates is $17,640 a year, right? A year. And just remember how that back and forth that I just talked about that we do. Senators receive $1,800. Now we would be at that same salary, but I think sometime in the early 90s, the Senate accepted a raise and we did not. There's this whole thing there, but the salary for a state legislator hasn't changed since the late 80s. I think it's 88 or 89. It hasn't changed. The speaker's salary is $36,321. So those figures are set through that Appropriation Act that is reflected in budget language and related to Virginia law. I will put a link to it in the chat. There is a budget amendment that is proposed to raise legislator pay to $45,000 effective January 28th, which kind of tells you plainly that even Richmond knows the current structure is completely outdated. The reason why it can only happen in 2028 is because we can't just raise our pay and then the next year go back and get paid. If we raise our pay, there has to be an election in between that time. Like there has to be an election in between. So we could vote to raise that pay from the $17,000 or $18,000 and change it to, what am I saying? But we have to get reelected in order to reap that benefit. So, you still got to do the work. So when I say this work is hard, I mean, it's hard for real. My first and second and third year, the first half of the time that I've been here, I just remember not being able to figure it out because I didn't have any other source of income outside of the legislature because there was really no way to balance it. And it may sound weird, but when it hit me hard that this is really hard and I don't love having to be financially insecure to be a legislator, was I just one day, I'm going to choke up. And I don't mean to, but I remember it because it hurt me so bad. I just wanted to take my daughter out for ice cream. I wanted to take my son and daughter out, for ice cream. And I just didn't have the money to do it. I just didn't have it. And of course I could ask my spouse. It's not a thing. He wouldn't have cared. It wouldn't have been a thing, but it was just a moment of with my own little pot of money, I can't even take my kids to get ice cream. And that is the life of a portion of our state legislators. That's not everybody. Some folks, they have it, whether they're independently have some form of wealth that allows them to do this, or, they have jobs that are okay with the chaos of the schedule. I don't begrudge them, but I do know for the kinds of people that we're trying to get the actually economic diversity that we want to have in a legislature, it makes it really tough. Because what job is going to say, please leave your life and your income stream for 60 days, then come back for reconvene, that maybe come back for a special session. And oh, by the way, keep smiling and be fully informed on a multi-billion-dollar budget. That is one reason why the compensation matters, not because public service should make you rich, because it should not make you rich, but because democracy should not be reserved for the independently wealthy, for the retired, for people with an employer flexible enough to let them disappear into session and still pay the light bill. There is some current advocacy around legislative pay that has made that exact sort of accessibility argument. Now, I'm going to put this in the chat because I don't expect you to believe me. I expect you to just go read, nerds. Okay, you nerds. Okay, nerds attack. Go read, right? That's the argument that's being made, and I want to be. I am, in most cases, I am honest. I am transparent. I'm not always candid, right? I'm not always candid. Those are different things. I want to tell you, I did not come to this work pretending that I would get every line item that I want in a budget. I've not actually been out there collecting budget goodie coupons at the register. That is not, how this work. That's not how it works for most members. There's a level of seniority. There's a level of relationships that you have that is the negotiating, power, timing, priorities, caucus strategy, even committee dynamics, constitutional structure, all at once they play a part. So part of being in leadership and telling the truth is telling the truth, like having that level of honesties. So sometimes the thing that you want is right and still not ready. Sometimes it's worthy and still unfunded. Sometimes you have to kind of keep showing up for it anyway. And that is where my office model comes in, because I've not always gotten everything that I've wanted in the budget, and or not everything, but anything sometimes. But what I come to this work, and what I hope that you all push and pull and come to this work with me on, is our whole model of we educate, we advocate, we celebrate, then we legislate. Okay. The first piece is educated, right? First, we educate. I want you to learn what reconvene is. I want you to understand what a special session is. Learn why this balanced budget matters. Learn how to use LIS, the Legislative Information System. Learn what is actually in the budget before you go fight about it online, fight about it at work. Like I hear the stories of people like at work talking to people, and they're like, they saying this, and that bill didn't even make it through. Yeah, we're in a time where you got to be able to cite your source. And I'm going to do my very best to make sure that you have that source. Then there comes the advocate. If there's legislation or a budget item that you care deeply about, you got to email your legislators. You got to call them. People rarely call my office unless they are like in crisis. I don't get a lot of people calling me as a legislator. So like, if y'all decided that 10 people were going to call an office, that would be like, wow. And that may just be my office. I don't know. But from what I know, we don't have people pressing us as much. Unless it's like something that the media has. This is why media is so important. But you got to tell us what's happening in your home, in your school, in your business, on your block, your unit, your workplace. Public policy does get better when the public is not silent. And the Constitution gives a structure, but the people give us substance. And so that's the advocacy piece. I need you there. You are the substance. Then we celebrate. I'm going to tell you, celebrate the fact that you still have a role, right, in this democratic process. This is why next Tuesday is so important. We got to get the job done. You need to celebrate the fact that you still have a role in this democracy, and that civics is not dead unless we bury it. That celebrate that every neighbor who votes, who reads, who shows up, who asks better questions, who refuses to be a spectator in their own democracy. This is why you need to vote on Tuesday, because we still have a role as Americans. And then the last piece, this part, legislate. I am telling you, we don't get to the legislation part without doing the first three really well. Educate, advocate, celebrate. Legislate, that's my part. That's the House's part. That's the Senate's part. That is the work of turning what we know and what we need into law, into budget. And so I am telling you, this is the work. This is the work. Okay? So I hope you guys understand that. I hope you're able to show the word. Take the links, nerds. Okay, like, and share with your people. I'm gonna go to the comment section just to see if there's any questions. Any questions thus far for you? Okay, Miss Donna says it reached area. Yes, it reaches. The budget reaches agency areas, and I know Miss Donna. I'm just telling y'all. Look, if you're looking at the screen and you see Miss Donna Smith, she is a huge advocate for the aging population, for community action. I'm gonna tell you, like, it's needed now more than ever. The casework of my office as far as constituency for our aging population has increased significantly. Food insecurity, housing insecurity, because of that whole thing of things costing more. It's just not, again, the math isn't mathing, and we're coming up on a lot of issues. So we need more funding for it. But remember what I said, that, you know, worthy doesn't mean it's funded, which is why your advocacy matters so much. So if you believe in supporting our aging population, you still right now can be advocating to your state level legislators about what you want to see happen in this budget, what you want to see in happen to an amended bill because you looked up the stuff, right? There is still time, right? So I need you can get at that. All right. Miss Donna also said, oh, thank you. I do. I genuinely love you. And I know you know that. I did get to put my arms around you every now and again to remind you. Miss Donna is also an episode for my day job. I'm an audio producer and storyteller. And my job has this series that we're working on wrapping up with the National Park Service, and we get to tell contemporary Black history. It's called Truth Be Told, Virginia. I'm actually going to drop it in the chat. Should have been done that. But Miss Donna is one of the stories that we highlight in Truth Be Told. I'm going to put the Apple podcast. I'll put it up here, Control C. So she is one of the stories that we tell because she has a very huge role. And the reason why I'm here, Afram Festival is why I'm here. My husband fell in love with this place because of that festival. And she tells the story about Afram and, how it came to be, her lived experience here. So please go check it out. Amazing story from an amazing woman who still chooses every day to try to do amazing things. Yeah. Ed says, Ed, said, Ed, and I love you and appreciate the work you do. You put in for the people, putting people for peanuts. It is for peanuts. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I genuinely do. I need that when people tell me that, like, hey, we appreciate you. I do need to hear that. And I thought I did. And I was like, damn, you don't tell me nothing. But if I didn't hear it, I think that I would doing things and I don't want to say in vain because my heart is in it, but I'd probably be feeling some type of way, unvalued, right? Like I feel not valued. So thank you for reminding me that there is value in this work for you, not just for me. Because, the goodness of your heart doesn't sustain. The goodness of the heart can't always sustain the mission. And what I know is that I quit once a week. Once a week, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Because, politics is hard, more so than legislating. The political side of things can be very challenging for me in particular, for some of the choices that I make. I have some, I don't like to call anybody an enemy, but I have some very good adversaries, right? In a sense, I think that sometimes my friend Kim Sutter tells me you can judge a person by their enemies. And And I do my best to show up in a way that you all expect me to when the doors are closed. And I don't begrudge anyone who can't, because I do have the luxury of being in a district that is very safe, per se, right? It's a very safe district. And I grew up with a dad that taught me to value myself. I grew up with a mom that taught me to speak your truth, even in difficult times. And I grew up with a village that loved joy, but also did the work. And so I think sometimes my confidence, it kills relationships. And it's not even that it kills relationships because I am confident. It is, I don't have an issue with saying where I land on things. I don't have an issue with telling people when they're doing things substandard to me in a respectful way. And I do not have an issue with working with people with our disagreements, but that's not the military, I'd say, raised me on that, but that's not the case for everyone. And so what I find is, and thank you, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. I am not apologizing for that, because that's part of my power, right? I'm a great communicator, and I do the best that I can with what I have. But what I've recognized here, and what makes it really challenging being a person who came here and who is not from here, what's really challenging for me is that at least in this area of Hampton Roads, my assessment of leadership sometimes is that, and even maybe at the state level, we all have power, and there are some people who the and power is relational. So sometimes that does damage, that I don't have the relationships to do certain things, because accountability can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like fighting words. But there are people that are more interested in reserving and conserving and caring for the power that they have with their friends in power than they do with their constituents that they should be protecting and caring for, right? So like their political friendships or relationships, because I don't really want to call them friendships, because you don't know, people can appear to be friends and not be friends, but their political relationships outweigh their service to people. And that doesn't help you all, and that's frustrating. But again, we all choose to use our power in a way. I don't begrudge people for that. I just, manage my time and energy. And that can make people feel like shit, like I'm coming for them, and it's not. It's just like I'm not dealing with that. Not, no. So it's a blessing and a curse, right? I'm very free, but also sometimes I don't know something's happening. I'm not in on the heist, as my friend says. I'm not. I'm not in on it, or I get bad talk. Like I have people out there saying she's so ineffective, and then you have to go look up and look at the things that I do, and then they're like, oh, I don't know why they would say that. I do, and I would much rather that folks say why they don't care for me as a personality, rather than make up things about my service, about what I am or am not doing. Just say, you know what, I don't like Jackie Glass, but then you got to tell them why. You should tell them why. You should. It's only fair. But anyway, off of that tangent, I'm looking at some of the comments so that I can get up out of here. She said, Ms. Donna said, I will press you all the time. Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Donna, you do press me, but I also love that. Can I tell you that what I tell other legislators and what I tell people that I meet that like ask me to come talk about politics and things. I was on a call last night with a bunch of young people who are fellows for a particular organization. And they asked me like, what are you most proud of? I'm like, listen, my biggest flex as a state legislator, my biggest, not even just as a legislator, but as a person who holds power and influence, my biggest flex is that I have people who are willing to press me. Like, they are willing to tell me, hey, my neighbor, he used to highlight the newspaper and leave it on the fence. When I walk out, and my heart is breaking because a lot of my older, I'm going to say neighborhood uncles and dads, are passing away. A lot of my older neighborhood and dads, they're all like passing away. they're all passing away. I used to have, so many of them and lost another one this session, but it's, uh, they I have a community of people that when I'm in the streets, they do not mind being like, yo, did you read this? Do you know this? And this is why it appears that I know so much. It's because I got people pressing me. So like I'm grateful for that because there are people who don't feel comfortable telling their legislators what's up, or the people in power, or they feel like if they tell them they won't do anything with it. So I'm grateful, Miss Miss Donna, press me every time, all the time. I don't, it ain't gonna kill me. And if I can't be pressed, then I need to go home for real. And I mean, not just pressed in a way of like getting angry emails. I mean, like people that, like when somebody that cares comes at you, that puts pressure on you to like get it right. And that's not to say that the average citizen that doesn't, know me or whatever, or we have a personal reach, that it just carries a different weight when it's your people telling you, look, Jack, you got to get it right. So I appreciate you pressing me. Do not feel any kind of way. I would actually be upset if you stopped. Okay. You keep being an aging citizen nerd. Okay. And taking care of people out there on the Eastern Shore. Okay. Marcella. Hey, BZ. Good morning. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm trying. I'm doing my very best to be authentic where I can be and shut the hell up where I can't be. Or not shut up, but manage myself, because everybody doesn't get to experience me in the same way. That doesn't mean that it's still an authentic version. Look at me backtracking. That doesn't mean just people get different versions of me. David James say names, LOL names. I wouldn't do that, but those people know. People know. They know. It's fine. Listen, it's fine. Everything's fine. Again, judge me. Sometimes you just got to judge me by my enemies. That's quote enemies, because I don't feel like enemies. We just differ on the way things should go. We differ on how we should, do certain things. And I think that they may feel they're enemies, but it's just like, hey, you do your thing. I do my thing. We could do stuff together, but appreciate the most. Okay. So yeah. You give people your time. We witnessed to that. You gave us time and we still, yeah, you're welcome. I love that. I love that. And you give me time. We all have stuff and things to do. We all have. So like, thank you for showing up in a place where you want to give time. Thank you, Miss Catherine. I'm saying it. Thank you so much. I'm looking. Oh, I'm coming out to the Eastern Shore. I promise. Fingers, like I look at this. This is the thing. Oh, we're doing a revamp. So hopefully my website, I still need it's on me. I still haven't sent the young man the information to get started on revamping, but I'll have a thing there to try to invite me out to your places and spaces, because it can be a challenge of, we've sent out a mass email to all the civic leagues saying, hey, we want you to come to your league. And sometimes we get nothing back. That's because many places are in transition. So we would love it. Love it. To have a means where we can go visit folks across the Commonwealth, because we are doing community work across the Commonwealth. Thank you for organizing. She said, yes, what Donna said. I'm so thankful for these lives. Oh, I remember for you just getting them and just yelling general things I was angry about, and you being super chill. I'm so sorry, but I do remember that too. But here's the deal. What I have to remember, David James, is that I don't know why that tickles me so much. Also, I think it tickles me because I love self-awareness. Like, when I did hear, like when I heard that there was like another elected, falsely saying, Jackie's ineffective. And I was, sort of having the conversation about my team and why that was being said, and the intentionality that some people moved with this session to ensure that certain things didn't happen. Like they were really, I was actually can I say this? It's going to sound weird, but I was genuinely impressed with the efforts of both. And this is Hampton. I only really have a lot of issues in Hampton Roads, because I think what on a larger volume of people with power, some of them, I don't trust what they say, right? Because I've been in rooms where they'll say one thing to me, and then I've had to have people on the back end enrich me and tell me that they're saying something different in a different room. And that's good to know. Like, it's good to know what's being like, hey, I'm supporting this, and then being like, no, we're not supporting that. That's real. Like those things really happen. And so last year I had a bill, y'all, that all of these people supported, all of them. And I'm saying this to you. I'm trying to figure out why I went down this road, but all of them supported, and they didn't in the back rooms. So the expectation was that the bill would die and never make it to the House floor. Well, I do my job, and I managed to get the bill all the way up to the governor's office, Republican governor's office, where they didn't want to do, I mean, I had to have a secretariat in my office trying to tell me why, because they even went and lobbied the secretary of the agent of the department to try to kill my bill. But he even couldn't like give me a no, because I was like, well, it has this, it has this, it has this. Tell me, like, is Hampton Roads going to get a win or no? That's my question. Is like, I'm trying to get a win for Hampton Roads. Um, 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 and so this year, the intent with which those people, who some of them came to me, shout out to some of the leadership in the area, and I'm talking mayors too, shout out to them, but some of them came, at least one in particular came to me and was like, I only supported that bill because I didn't think you would get it anywhere. Like, to my face. And I said, what? We really didn't expect this. So like, it became a thing. That's a problem. Power can be a problem in certain hands, because I do believe that power is good. More for power to be good, more good people to have power. And so what I recognize in having people like you here yelling in my face, not even yelling, because you weren't yelling, you were just like this and this and this and this. I get smarter, and like, this is why I can confidently engage in spaces, because I am actually hearing from people at least once a week. Somebody's coming to me and down my neck about something. So like, your general things, telling me general things, has built a level of confidence of me to ask the questions, to do the things, to stand firm, to understand that it is not personal. And so even like these folks who worked so hard to make sure this one particular bill that I got all the way to the governors, like, never even had a hearing. I mean, they worked overtime. Again, I was like, I have never felt so special in my life. More special than my wedding day. I'm just like, I've never felt so special. It's like, wow, like, it takes all of this to try to hold me back from a win that's for the Hampton Roads region. I will always do the things that I think en masse will help this region, because I think the more we think about ourselves as a region, the better that we'll do. But yeah, I'm impressed. But I also get my butt kicked in public with people like David telling me like, yo, this. But I want to empower you to be a part of this process, right? That is the important piece. I need you to understand that you have every right to be participatory. That is what this constitutional democratic republic is about. And that if we don't get our butts out there and vote on Tuesday, if you don't tell people on Tuesday, then we will not be able to have that same role in this democracy in these United States. And so like, you all you've got to understand the urgency of where we're at. It is a fundamental shift to our democracy that could happen. So I will leave you with this. Okay. Here's my ask, right? Saturday, come to Fly Norfolk. The Eventbrite is out. It's on my, like, share it. I want a full room of people enjoying aviation. I want you to come and fly a daggum drone, right? Sit in somebody's homemade aircraft. There's a guy named Andrew who comes every year. He built his own aircraft and he flies it, which is like scary to me. I haven't went up in it. My mom took a ride in it like a couple of years ago, but like, Saturday, come to Fly Norfolk. Tell your people. Tuesday, go vote. Wednesday, pay attention to reconvene, because what happens there will tell you a lot about what your government is prioritizing, what we're protecting, what we're delaying, what we're denying. Okay. And hopefully, if we have a budget on Thursday, we'll be voting on that. So I will close with this, right, for you all. Government is not magic. We are not Harry Potter folks over here. We're not doing magical things. It is all of the things. It is process, people, priorities, pressure, and even persistence. To David's point, reconvene is where we answer the governor. Special session is where we finish that business and we come back to the table. I'm reiterating these things because you're going to be smart nerds, doer nerds. The budget is where our values stop being like just words, and become numbers. So your participation in what keeps all of the things from becoming a performance, I'm saying it keeps everything from becoming from just being performative and making it actual public service. So yes, I am headed to Richmond next week. Yes, now that all the amendments are acted on, I'm reading amendments. I actually had a bill that was amended, but I requested it that be amended, so I needed it. I am looking at explanations as to why the governor chose to do certain things and didn't. I put that link in there for you all to look at if you want to take a look at the explanations. I am paying attention to the budget as much as I can, but there's not a lot of information that we are receiving if you're not in those negotiations. So I want to manage you all's expectation there. I don't know a whole lot because I'm not one of the people that are sitting at the table doing the budget, but I'm paying attention and I need y'all to rock with me, right? Because in the office of Delegate Jackie Hope Glass and in this season that we're in, we do not need to just watch democracy. We need to educate, we need to advocate, we need to celebrate, and then we need to legislate. Fair enough? Can y'all do that with me? I know you can, doers. I know you can. My hope is that I see you all this weekend. Bring the grandkids, bring yourself. You bring yourself. All right. Until next time, I'm Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and the laced up legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District. Honored to serve. Sharing that powerful pie with you, powerful people. Go call somebody and tell them to vote today and go to Fly Norfolk. Saturday, 10 to 2. All right. Be kind to yourself. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. All right. Bye.